Folks, there was an update yesterday. Well, a beta update, but still, changes have come to the game, and I have only just found out about them because I'm great at my job. But here's the deal, everyone. We've got details on potential tweaks coming in March for a quality of life update. So let's give them a proper once-over, yes? The beta branch is open again. This time with the March quality of life changes. This update contains some changes to world options, and they have been split into two categories. World settings, things that affect the world after it has been generated, and world generation options, things that affect world generation itself. So right off the bat, folks, we understand why this update is actually pretty darn significant, as yes, we can now change world settings after a world has been generated. But they have to be world settings. They can't be world generation options. But don't worry, we'll get to that. So to continue, by default, saving and loading presets will work as before, or we can choose to unlink the world settings and world generation options to just manage them both separately. But yes, there's a lot of the background things going on, folks. But we are here for the changes, so let's talk them. And the first one is actually pretty awesome. Containers can now be opened by multiple players at the same time. And this does include Chester and Hutch, mind you. That's fantastic, and I'm not really going to show you gameplay of that because it's very straightforward. And this next one is too. And it's also known to be a bit buggy at this point, but I'm not entirely sure what they were even going for here, because all actions can already be repeated by just holding spacebar. So if they want all actions to be repeated by clicking and holding the mouse button, okay, but that was already in the game. So I don't know, maybe it's all around done messed up right now. We'll find out in the bits. But in shortly playing with it, I'm guessing it's more for repeatedly placing things or maybe even repairing stuff. But I am actually seeing the game highlighting the resources that I am trying to repeatedly pick with this feature. So I'm not too sure about that. Because again, the latter can be still done with a single button that we have right now. I don't know. So I guess we really do have to wait and see what Clay truly wants out of this feature. But this one is a saving grace, folks. All crafting recipes can be repeated by double-clicking and holding the crafting button. My gosh, that's what I'm talking about. Straightforward and simple. Click once, hold, and you will never have to spam again. Plus, the best thing to come out of this, no more annoying clicking sound being spammed in our ears either. Careful now, though. I get the feeling that this new feature is going to lead to some people making more of something than they want to if they're not keeping tabs. But moving on here to another really awesome one, I feel. Although I was really planning on having a series where I'd put everything to more and it was just going to be chaos, so that's kind of unfortunate. But let's read here. Setting world generation options to more will no longer generate more of that object in every biome. And my gosh, that was always insane when you did that. It made no sense. It was just wacky fun. But now it's only going to generate more of that object, or whatever the heck you set to more, in the proper biome. Alright then, I can roll with that. But take for example me setting mac caps to tons with these new options. Before, they would be literally everywhere, and it would be impossible to navigate the world without running into like 7 at one time. But now the game concentrates the caps in the natural spawning area within one of your forests, or clumps them together in the grassland, savanna, or rocky lands branch. Or if that doesn't help you understand, then know that I set merm huts and reached the tons, and the game compiled it all in the swamp alone. You know, the proper biome. So we aren't really crowding the world any longer, but instead crowding specific branches with specific mobs if they have specific spawns if we choose to. But the next two of note, at least in my opinion, are these ones. Added over 20 new world generation options and over 50 new world settings. Alright, so now we gotta talk about what these actually mean. Remember, world generation options are like a one-time deal. You set them to what you want, the world generates with them, that's it. World settings, on the other hand, can now be, obviously, set before you spawn into a world, but now also afterwards if you don't like what you've done. But what are you even doing with world settings? Well, I'm going to try to make this simple until we all get used to the new stuff. First of all, the overall menu has changed dramatically, and we have control over most every mob, spawner, environmental effect, respawn timer, and more for the first time in a very long time. Mostly because they added the seafaring and lunar-based content from the past 2 years. But world settings here is really all about the timing of all these things. How quickly will mobs respawn from their spawns? How often will it rain? How fast will hound waves appear? You get the picture. And now, that can all be changed even after the world has generated. So, if you set hound waves to more and you're not really liking how fast they're coming, guess what? Disconnect, lower it, and they'll be showing up less frequently. World generation, on the other hand, is all about the amount of spawners, resources, mobs, and how a world actually generates in relation to branches or loops, folks, and can only be tweaked before a world is made. In short, one is about changing spawning habits, while the other literally adjusts how many or little of said spawns are actually going to generate per world. Don't overthink it. Take it at face value, because it is as simple as it looks and sounds. Things have just been split for more player control is all. Oh, I like this one, everyone. I can't tell you how many questions I get about all this stuff. So, the server commands menu. Rollback, regenerate world, heck, rolling in the game for maybe if you're trying to get loot that dropped, is now accessible via the server's command button in a not a pause menu. And yes, it's as straightforward as it sounds. Open the pause menu and you will notice 2 new options, folks. View players and server commands. The view players option is just going to allow us to open the player list for the server, which we can already do with the tab button, but I'm sure that is more for console players as I'm not sure how that works for you. However, server commands is where the meat is at. If you are trapped in the void, the rescue me option could save you. You can dice roll without having to type /roll. You can completely regenerate your world with a click, and even roll back without having to exit the server. Enjoy. But yes, I think this was all about console players, which is nice. And you can read the other 2 bullet points that really go with that server commands menu thing, so let's just move on to this next bit. Added world settings to assist players when joining someone's server. These settings should only have an impact on public servers. If you are locally hosting your own private world that only you and some friends play on, your experience will not be affected. Well, unless you choose it to be affected, I'm pretty sure. I don't think there's something going on in the background that knows that you're playing on a private world, but maybe, I don't know. But let's list them here. Extra starting resources. New players joining the world after day 10 will start with few extra resources to make up for the starting area being mostly picked clean. Alright, that's cool. Seasonal starting items. New players joining the world that is not in autumn will receive a basic seasonal clothing item to help them survive long enough when getting started. That is also cool. Griefer spawn protection, something I have never ever had to worry about because, to be honest, I have never once, in all of my years of playing this game, played a public server that wasn't my own creation. So, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but let's read it. When a player spawns in, if there are too many structures near the spawn point, or if there are hostile creatures, the player gains a temporary buff that allows them to walk through structures and prevents them from being targeted. Alright, interesting. I wonder if I can test that myself. Now this last one is kind of interesting too. Drop items on despawn. Normally we would always just ask people, hey, drop this, that, the other. This one, now, this new setting, allows us to set it, our worlds that is, to have players that join it drop irreplaceable items. You know, like Eyebone, Star Sky, maybe the key, the ancient key. I don't know what actually completely falls under irreplaceable items in Clay's mind. Hopefully all the actual good stuff. But we can also make them drop all of their items when they leave the server. Not entirely convinced about that one in all public servers, but okay, we're on the right track at least. So all the others are actually pretty self-explanatory, and I can't actually test them because you have to be a new player to a server. But I did test the anti-griefing thing, and sure enough, it works as advertised. If the portal is blocked or surrounded by hentai death, for example, these invincibility frames can save us from it. Plus, we really can just walk through walls, structures, and more for a little while too. It doesn't last very long, mind you, so make note there, I suppose. But this is interesting, I guess. I do hope it helps people at the end of the day. But to wrap up here, a couple bug fixes, folks. Ice now floats. Yep, that's all she wrote there. But lesser glowberries now have a different animation while on the ground. And yep, that's all she wrote there too. So there you go, folks. The March quality of life updates. I like it. Plenty of these changes were a long time coming, so it's nice to finally have a chance to play around with them. Plus, giving us as much control over our world and gameplay as Clay has just done is about one of the best things any developer can give a player base, so bonus points all around. My one petty gripe is that this is already one of 2 quality of life updates confirmed for this whole year, so I do hope the second one brings its A game for actual gameplay / mob tweaks like the others have. But thanks for watching, folks. Well wishes to all. Please check the comments for the appropriate links, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.